So in the last session, we discussed about the evaluation context. As part of the evaluation context, we discussed about the row context and filter context, and also explained in detail what is the difference between row context and filter context. And also we have discussed about the initial filter context. Followed with it, we discussed about what is calculated column, what is measure, and the difference between the calculated column and measure. Also, we discussed about it. In today's session, we will just shift into the advanced topic of the DAX. Okay, so what we will do is, as part of this, we will get started with the filter functions. As part of the filter functions, we have the calculate function. Calculate is one of the important functions in DAX, using which we can do the complex or advanced data analytics with the calculate function. And the next one is the calculate table and filter, all selected, all except keep filter, remove filter. All these functions we will now jump in and take a look at each of the functions in Power BI Desktop. Before that, let us understand what exactly the calculate function is all about. So what is calculate functions and what is calculate function, and what exactly we can do with calculate function. Okay, and how it helps us to perform the advanced analytics. We will take a look at it now. So this is the syntax for the calculate function. Okay, this is the calculate functions. The first argument is your expression. This is mandatory. The second argument is your filter one and filter two. These are all the optional one. Okay, the filter can be. So here, you might be wondering what is this filter is all about, and what is this expression. So the expression is something like your, let's take a simple example, sum of sales. That is your expression. This is an aggregation. You want to do some kind of aggregation, the sum of sales. Or you can find out the total number of transactions in your order table, count function, or the sum function, right? So you are using it here. That is what your expression. And but this is mandatory, okay? And the filters are optional. You can use either a Boolean filter, or you can use a table filter expression, or you can use filter modification functions. You can use any one of, or you can use the combination of all these three also. Okay, you can use the Boolean filter expression, you can use a table filter expression, you can use filter modification functions as your filter. Okay, or the combination of all the three, or you can use a Boolean filter. If you want to use only the Boolean filter, you can use it. So as I said, the calculate function is a very simple function. It does complex things. It is one of the most dynamic functions. It helps us to add deeper insights to our reports. So essentially, the calculate function allows us to change the context of a calculation within a measure. This is what we discussed, right? I just showed you when I created a when I used a SumX function as part of the calculate column, and when I used a calculate function there, it was doing the filter context there, right? It was helping us, the calculate function was helping us to do the context transition from row context to filter context. We were able to do it. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say here. So it allows us to change the context of your calculation within a measure. So wherein the context is determined by your environment. Okay, the ability to change the context within a measure is very important. The ability to change the context, the environment. Okay, the calculate function is very much helpful in terms of completely changing the filter context. Okay, that is coming from your visual or so. The calculate function DAX evaluates an expression in a modified filter context. Okay, that is the thing here. And the next one is there are two parts here, aggregation on the filter. What do you mean by 1 second? There are two parts here, the aggregation, which is mandatory, and the filter, like I said earlier. The calculate function is very similar to Excel SumIf function. If you guys have worked in Excel, and if you are familiar with SumIf function, it is somewhat identical to that one. So what we can do with calculate? Now you understood what is, that's what we discussed, right? So you can modify the filter context of the expression, and also it can override the already existing filter context with the one that's been specified in the calculate expression. Okay, if the filter context does not exist, so you can create a new filter context, or you can modify the existing filter context. You can, override the existing filter context. Okay, all these things are possible with calculate function. So now let us take with a simple example so that you will be able to understand very clearly with this examples. Okay, and if you see here, this is the measure I created, a total sales for units sold over 10. Or okay, let me do one thing. I just modify this one. There is a problem here. Okay, here. Okay, total sales in UK. In UK. So in this case, the calculate function, what is the syntax for this one? The first argument is supposed to be your expression. It is mandatory. And the second the second argument is your filter. In this case, I have used the Boolean filter. Boolean filter. What is that? Boolean filter. One second. It is an optional, but in this case, I've used the Boolean filter. So I don't want to do the sum of sales on the entire table, because let's say my table has 10 million records in it. If I do a sum of sales on the sales column of this table for the table which has 10 million records, it takes a lot of memory. It takes a lot of time, right? So instead, what we are doing is we are very particular about, in this case, to find out the total sales made in United Kingdom alone. Okay. So in this case, by using the filter condition, what we do is in this case, I've used the Boolean filter. This is called your Boolean filter. So that's what I mentioned here. This is called your Boolean filter. This one will return true. If this value United Kingdom is available in this column country of this table, then this one will return true. And then it will filter only the records that are related to United Kingdom. And then it does the sum of sales. It finds out the total on the sales column. Got it? So this is called your Boolean filter. Okay. And also I discussed about you can use, so in this case, I have used more than one filter condition. Earlier, I have used only one filter condition, United Kingdom. Now I added another condition. So the expression, comma, filter 1, comma, filter 2. So in this case, the quantity, units sold more than 10. So in this case, we are interested in the total sales for units sold more than 10 in United Kingdom. We wanted to see the total sales. Okay. So in that case, we have used the two filter condition. In this case, these two filter conditions are Boolean filter. This is also a Boolean filter. This is also Boolean filter. You know what is Boolean? Boolean is nothing but true or false, right? The Boolean values are true or false. This one, in your country column, if you have a value something like this, United Kingdom, then this one will become true. And then those records have true. In the sense, only United Kingdom related records only get filtered. And also on top of that, it apply another filter. So, okay, I have the United Kingdom related transactions got filtered. On top of that, I wanted to filter only those transactions where we sold more than 10 units within United Kingdom. Okay, it is applying another filter. So what will happen is your number of records will get reduced. Okay, so in this case, I have used Boolean filter expression. Now I just go back to the syntax here. The syntax is here. Expression, in our case, sum of sales amount, right? Here, sales is a table name. And then here, or this is your column name. In this column, I want to do the sum on this. Okay, and then the filter one is nothing but in this case, country is equal to United Kingdom, UK. I just tried it simply. Boolean. And then another filter was quantity is greater than 10, right? These two are Boolean filters. Okay, next one is okay. The next one is the Boolean filter condition. You can use it, Boolean filter expression. So these are all Boolean filter expression. Okay. The next one is table filter expression. Followed by this, we'll discuss about filter modification functions. So in the case of filter, instead of using Boolean filter, you can use table filter expression also. Okay, or you can use the combination of these two also, Boolean as well as table filter and filter modification function also we can use it. Now let us see what is table filter expression. So as I said, this is the first argument of your calculate function supposed to be an expression. It is mandatory. Without any specifying any expression, as a first argument in your calculate function, it will not work. And second argument is your filter. It is optional. In this case, I did not use Boolean filter. Instead, I've used the filter function. Filter function is available as part of DAX. The filter function is an iterative function. Okay, it iterates row by row. So in this case, what happens is the filter function is not only iterating function, it returns a table. It creates a table behind the scene. Okay, so here the first argument for your filter function is your table name. As I discussed earlier, as part of the count family function, where in case of any iterating function, the iterating function, majority of the iterating function ends with x. In this case, the filter function though it doesn't ends with x, filter function also performs row by row computation. Okay, it iterates one row at a time, which one the filter function. Since it is an iterative function, the first argument is supposed to be a table name, comma, the country equal to United Kingdom. Okay, here we are doing the filtering. Okay, so take only United Kingdom related data, subset of the data from your sales W04, you take it only for this country. So in this case, we have used the table filter expression. This is your table filter expression. Earlier, we have used the Boolean filter, and the next one is table filter. And I can use, see in this case, what happened, I have used something else called, look here, all function. If you see here, Boolean filter, and then next one is the filter modification function. This is called your filter modification function. Boolean filter, you can use it. You can use a table filter function, and then you can use filter modification function. The all function is a filter modification function. Hope you understood. So in this case, what happened? And as usual, this is mandatory. You need to specify the first argument this expression is very much important. In this case, I've used the total sales. Total sales is a measure. Once you create a measure, you can reuse it. Already I've created a measure by the name of total sales. In the case of total sales measure, I have used sum of sales. Okay, sum of sales column. I have something like sum of sales column. This is the value got already stored in my measure called total sales. Instead of doing the sum again and again, I just reuse the total sales. Total sales here. This measure, I'm going to reuse it. So even this measure, we have used the expression, sum function. Okay, the next one is the Boolean filter. The quantity is more than 10 and the location key is Hyderabad. For this subset of the data, it will select it. Okay, and if you see here, if a measure using calculate contains a modifier, filter modifier, something like all selected key filter. Look here, this is your all function. This all is something like a filter modifier. Okay, so this is a Boolean expression you know very well. Along with that, we have the filter modification function, all function. You don't worry about this. We'll explain it little later in today's sessions. Right, so if I explain you now itself, the flow will get disturbed. Okay, now what we will do is, now you understood as part of filters, you can use either the Boolean filter or you can use table filter function or you can use the filter modification function.